Hello, welcome everyone. My name is AJ. I'm the marketing manager at UXDX, and this is the latest edition of the UXDX online community series. I'm very excited, so excited that I lost my voice today, so it's a great moment. But today we have really exciting talks with people with real voices. But before we go into those, I just want to give like a quick introduction about UXDX as well and why we host these sessions. So at UXDX, we have the view of the world like is full of bad software. And what we mean with that is not just like about bugs or anything like that. It's more, for example, if I think of like an example off the top of my head is like in banking, you either have like a traditional bank or the new like online banks, and the way that the usability of those apps is functioning, one has my preference because it's just working a bit better compared to the other one. So that's why I do more business with them. And with UXDX, it's in our mission to help companies to build an environment that can't build bad software in a way. And why we say that, it's not down to the people, the motivation, or the skills that people have, but it's more about the environment that people are working in. So with that, I mean like the processes and the structures that they have to follow, which is limiting them as well. So our goal is to help break people free from that. And how we do that is basically shifting from waterfall to truly empowered autonomous teams. Teams that own the product from the idea to the satisfied customer. And it's easy to say, but hard to do in practice. Hence, we have all these like conferences we organize, the local events, we have the online events, and we ask people who are working in the field, what are they doing and how are they doing it in their companies? Nobody's gonna cover it all, of course, but hopefully you can learn from the things that people process, the process that people are going through and what they're sharing, which also comes down to a bit of today. It's also important to ask questions. So if you want to relate what we're learning today, and you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the chat wherever you're streaming from. And I'll make sure to ask those questions. And if they don't get answered, we can always connect you with the speakers of today as well. But all right, that's enough about UXDX. Now I want to introduce you to our first speaker of today, which is Kalina Tyrkiel, a UX writer at Zendesk. And Kalina will be talking about how anyone can get the words right, as in content patterns 101. Let me bring Alina to the stage as well. Welcome, Alina.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for the intro.
No worries. I will share your slides and leave it all up to you.
Okay, so let's jump right in and let's talk about all the behind the scenes, as AJ has already mentioned, of how we make these products that we work on better and scalable. In my case, I will be talking about how this happens through content and through getting content right. And I imagine we probably have some content designers, UX writers. These two terms are used interchangeably. We probably have some of these content people in the audience, but I believe we also have some product designers, UX designers, people coming from all fields, hopefully excited to hear how to get the content part right. So here I am to give you a little sneak peek, some actionable tips as well on how these things happen. And I will be speaking from my experience as a content designer. I currently work at a company called Zendesk, which you may be familiar with. It's a customer service company, but it's much more than that. It's a huge, complex system also in terms of content, covering a lot of AI features that we work on right now. I am working mostly on AI features, so there will be a little bit of an AI sprinkle in my talk. I have previously worked at, different companies. Another one that I will be referring to today is called Doc Planner. It's a health tech company for booking your health appointments and for doctors as well to manage them, which, as you may imagine, comes with a lot of patterns, with a lot of content to strategize and work around. Apart from these things, I'm also a UX writing trainer and a university lecturer, which again gives me a perspective of a people who's like teaching, of a person who's like teaching other people to how to do these things. So the way I structure my courses, the way I structure my classes with my students, it's now largely based around how to get things right on a larger scale. These things are shifting with AI entering the field, and I will be telling you a little bit more about how things are working right now and how you can plan your work around it. And on top of that, I am also a team member. I wouldn't be able to manage the words, the content in all these systems alone. So I think it's crucial, it's important to reiterate at the very start that all of these things you will be seeing are always a team effort. And I will be telling you a little bit more about how to plan this work as a team effort as well. So jumping into the main thing, that's the gist of it. I will be talking through a lens of 3 content design breakthroughs. So 3 major moments that happened during your content design career, during your work life, during your trajectory of development as a design professional. So first, you start as a UX writer, you land your first UX writing job, which is really exciting. And then you're really happy because you can design microcopy, you can design all these small words in the interface, you can design buttons, you can design error messages, and you can see how this makes people work easier. So maybe to come back to this banking metaphor that was used in the intro, you have working messages in the app, you get hints at the very right moment, you know what to say and then when to say it, and you see that it actually helps users. So this is exciting. You gain your first impact as a designer. You're really happy to do that. And the even more exciting thing happens when you finally join the content design team, when you are not the only UX writer, the only words person on your team, but you can do it in a graduate group. So you have this really smart, cool people also working on content, and you do it all together. You finally can participate in crits, you can ask for feedback. All of this is great. But at one point you realize that your team does a wonderful job as well, but other people, other designers, other developers, other people working on digital products, they do it in a different way. And you're faced with things like this. This is an example from my previous company, Doc Planner. You're faced with different formats of the very same message. So this example I often use to talk about content patterns is an empty state example. So empty state is a piece of content. It's a pattern, a design pattern that appears in places when the user can see some information, some elements like documents, health records, requests, some sort of messages. Also, it's a typical kind of object that lives in this space. They see an empty state. So there is nothing here, but there will be some things when you add them. And as you can see, they look very different across the product. So the format is different. Visually, they are very different. And the experience is, not the best. It's very inconsistent, can be problematic at times. You have to decide what kind of actions you want to include at a certain moment. And your job as a UX writer, as a content designer, is to work around that. And sometimes it's also your job when you're a product designer. You have to think about all these recurring patterns and how you want to structure them. And this is where you get to a point when you realize that writing is, in fact, designing. So why not treat it like a design problem? And it's not really an original thought. You might have heard about the book Writing is Designing, which I highly recommend. If you haven't heard, it's a wonderful read. But it's a fact. Writing is designing. So then we sit at the drawing board and we think about how we could design the words, so we don't have to do it all over again every time when there's an empty state pattern, when there's an error message pattern, or any kind of pattern that's quite content heavy that comes with words. So we can sit and look at how other people did that already. And this would be my first piece of advice. There are so many great design systems out there, and you can use them as a reference. So I know it might be more or less exciting to some people, depends on your on your preference probably. But I personally really enjoy looking at other companies' design systems, just to get some inspiration, just to see how other people do this stuff, to see how they structure how they work on similar problems like the one I'm facing right now. And this is an example of an audit I did at my previous company. So I just looked at design systems that I could access, I know are working. Like I used to look at like the Shopify design system a lot. There's plenty of design systems you can access. There's IBM Carbon, there's Primer from GitHub, there's plenty. And if I can give you like one more piece of advice, it's really cool to have your like own list, your own original list of design systems you stumbled upon and really like, so you can come back there whenever you need to and just look at compare how other companies do it. I don't think it's a good idea to have like a one favorite and just like do everything as that company is doing it, because well, you may also like replicate their mistakes, which isn't great. But having like a connection to refer to is incredibly helpful. So then you like this audit, how other people do that, and you come up with a first proposal for yourself. Another thing I want to bring to your attention, when you build like this proposal of a content pattern, any kind of design pattern, it's good to think about which pieces of the pattern are mandatory and which of those are going to be optional, because it's quite common that these patterns, don't always look the same. Some bits will be appearing in every use case, some of these bits may be optional, so it's good to take that into account at the very start. So then you have like, you map how things could look, and then what I do at this stage is to come up with like some example content, like example copy. So I have real life use case, and then I try to see how this is going to look with a specific, with a proposed pattern. So first of all, you build like a prototype, then you try to see how this is going to look in the real life. And the one step I would never omit in this process is design crits. So you prepare something and then you invite your team and ask them for critique, ask them for feedback. And this is where the magic happens. This is like the stress test bit when you see if your content is going to work in real life. And this is, I think, the best way to say like this is a team effort. We are all team members. We cannot really do it alone. So this is a bit of like a behind the scenes look of how I do it as a content designer, how we can work with words as a design problem, in fact. This is another example, like I can show you very briefly like how I describe these patterns in the documentation. So for headings, empty stick headings, we also discovered that like 2 use cases. They can describe the current situation. The other bit that was in this description, there were like examples, the length was defined, also like some notes about the punctuation, and very similar for the second use case. So we have the second use case when the heading describes what the feature is doing, also some examples and some notes on the punctuation. So as you can see, there's a pattern for patterns. The pattern description is also following a pattern. So this is what I propose. This is what I leave for you today as a source of inspiration. You can also try and use in your own content patterns. So yeah, to recap this part, to sum up, it's good to mark mandatory and optional components. Also, I think important to highlight that some components can be reusable. They can be always the same. So for instance, like we can agree that we always use the go back button, and this is the format that's like copy and paste. We don't think about it, we just reuse the same thing. And patterns are made of different sets of components. So as you see, you have mandatory and optional bits. This is more complex, but some things can be just really simple. We can just reuse them. We don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. And there are some candidates that make great reusable components most often. So basic action buttons like select or duplicate or send, like this makes a great component most of the time. Some repetitive interactions like leave without saving, also a great component candidate. Like this kind of repetitive questions, they work really well when just being used in the same format. And some disclaimers. So what you see a lot in AI tools, in AI products, there's this disclaimer when you have like the generative AI chatbot of sorts like ChatGPT, and just says like AI can make mistakes, review results for clarity, something along these lines. And if you're looking for patterns like this that have to do with AI-based products, I highly recommend this website called Shape of AI. Plenty of great inspiration out there. So yeah, if you want to save it in your tabs, I highly recommend it. I use it a lot. And also, I would recommend focusing on good examples instead of the bad ones. Like, I think it's better to kind of like help people build good habits. And this is what I would put most focus. Of course, like if you want to prove a point, like tell people why they shouldn't do something, it's okay to include these bad examples as well. But good is better. Good is good. Good is even better. This is based on my experience with that. So yeah, there we have like these two main breakthroughs as a content designer, and the third one is happening right now. Like it's happened already for some people. Some people are only like entering this space right now, whether we want it or not. AI is now part of our teams, and we need to think how to work around that and how to work with that, which is also what I recommend. So let's have a closer look at how not to do one thing well just once and then like rely on other people on how to do that. We can leverage AI to help us scale these patterns, and this is what is happening a lot right now. And I can give you a little peek into how I do it as a content designer and how you can do it as well. So we build patterns that work both for humans, like the patterns I shared with you. I just shared with you, and also large language models. So empower the teams that make the best use of AI, because you can just like use the LLM to ask people like, oh, rewrite something for me, but the results are not always going to be that great. So let's have a look at how we can make it even better. So the style guide as we know it, it may look like this. This is coming from my wonderful colleagues at Zendesk that created something that circulated around the internet. Even before I joined Zendesk, there was like this beautiful matrix for our voice and tone. But this is definitely for humans. Like if you share this with AI, a large language model won't be probably doing super well with reading this. So we had like this very classic design system list of words we use, words we don't use, how we should speak. But this again is how humans see it. You've probably seen things like that as well. And this is how the LLMs see it. This is the same kind of content guideline, but formatted for the LLM. And what's happening here is that when talking to an LLM, when creating instructions, to tell the LLM these are the guidelines, this is the pattern you should follow, we use formatting that's more like LLM friendly. And usually the recommendation you see in a lot of documentation is using Markdown. Instead of having something that looks like this, mostly like human focused, or also like this, we just format it more in this direction. So one thing you can do to make it look more like this, more LLM friendly, is to just like paste your human facing guidelines and ask the LLM, can you rewrite this into Markdown or like a more custom instructions friendly format, and it's going to do a wonderful job for itself. Like the LLMs know what the LLMs want. So I think this is another like golden nugget, like piece of advice that really changed how I work with AI. And if you want to dig deeper, if you want to actually learn Markdown, which is honestly like not that complex, and it's like a nice thing to add to your toolbox just to know what's going on, how to communicate with LLMs better, I highly recommend this book from Matcom. The Markdown Guide is available out there on the internet, short and sweet, really great, and also really empowering in the age of AI, I believe. So yeah, we are answering the same questions only in a different format, which I think is giving us a lot of hope. We just need to change the language a little bit. Some of the things that I use the most often when it comes to scaling patterns and giving people the resources to work better with AI, to create better AI generated content, or just to know what patterns we should follow. The most common type of question, number one kind of question, is like, what kind of verb are we using? Are we saying turn on or enable? Are we saying sign in or register? So having a handy guide to verbs or like well-structured instructions on which verbs you're using in the product, this is working super well. I would say this is the number one thing to start working on. Second thing is a glossary, so like a little dictionary of words like you're using. So to make sure, like, are we calling this thing recommendation, or are we calling it the suggestions? Having a single place, or again, like well-structured instructions for an LLM. Second thing I would start it. So action. action words, verbs, second, the glossary, and the third thing, formatting. So are we using nouns? Are we using full sentences instead? And the punctuation guidelines, this is something that goes into like basic instructions for every product. So guide to verbs, a glossary, words we use, words we don't use, and formatting. This is where I would start when it comes to creating instructions for a large language model. And you may ask yourselves, like, this sounds amazing, but we've all seen LLMs hallucinating. Like, we've all seen them making mistakes, just like humans do, to be honest. But yeah, like, it's absolutely fair. Like, it's a fair point. Like, when you have an assistant, you want it to be reliable. So there are ways to work around hallucinations. I'm not saying like if you implement this, it's gonna be completely hallucination free. It's working on the product. It's an iterative process, but there are some tricks I would gladly share with you on how to limit the hallucinations when working with LLMs. So you can add instructions like only use information found in instructions and untouched files. And like, it's not going to limit the LLM's creativity 100%. Like, they do tend to get creative, but this is a sort of guardrail that is gonna make it more focused. So it's one thing that helps a lot. This is one way to put it. Another thing that I do a lot is to add this bit of text to the prompt that says, take a deep breath and think step by step. And you may be thinking like, am I going to tell the computer to take a deep breath and think step by step? Like, do you really think it's going to work? And the answer is yeah, like, it's going to work probably in your case. And there are like some research papers which I'm attaching here. Like, it's a fascinating read when you look into this research that's been done, that computers really, like, they take it seriously. If you follow the human metaphor, like, they really think slowly and more accurately, and they come up with more accurate results if we just tell them to take a deep breath. So as funny as it may seem, give it a try and see how this works in your case, because there are some papers that proved it may actually work. So starting with this eccentric bit of advice, hope I got your attention by now. Another trick that I'm using is using capital letters. So just say always use numerals, never use spelled out numbers, with always and never in all capital letters. And first time I saw it in prompts I've been working on with developers, I thought like, oh, this is funny. And I was a bit skeptical, to be honest with you. Like, I dig deeper to see, like, is it really going to work? Like, do I have to shout at the computer so it's gonna work better, so it's gonna listen to me? Apparently, uppercase sometimes is all you need. And there is like this really funny research paper that's written all in uppercase. So I think it's a fun read, because it's all like all caps shouting at you. Apparently, uppercase really increases the accuracy at times. So you may want to dig into this bit as well. What also works in a lot of cases is adding examples. So this one example is an example of one-shot prompting. I've only added like one example to the instructions. And when you give the LLM like an example of how you want it to write, it often performs better. Of course, there's the whole discussion of how many examples you should include, how much is too much, which is probably a topic for another talk. But again, examples, something to keep in mind. There are also like some websites, resources I recommend when it comes to learning about these things. One of these websites being Learn Prompting. It's a rabbit hole. Like, once you get there, I think I would reserve some time to dig deeper, because this is a gold mine and I use it a lot. So another extra bit of reading I'm leaving here with you. And yeah, as I mentioned before, really don't hesitate to ask the LLM to refine the prompts for you. The tools really know what they need. So when you have a prompt, ask the LLM to refine it. Ask it for feedback. Ask it like, how can I make it better? How can I make it more precise? And then test it and see how you can improve it that way. So rule number one, already kind of hinted, test. And when you think about it, it's kind of like you're building your own content design product. It's building your own exam product. You're building products for a living. You're building digital products. You're building apps, banking apps. You're building e-commerce websites. you're also building products for yourself as a designer and for your team. So why not approach it as a design problem? I think it's a nice way to think about that. I also highly recommend to just kind of reach out to people in your organization and just work together on these things. This is great when you have more testers on board. So you can run demos, you can invite people to co-designing sessions. Well, it's a lot of fun building your own product. So I encourage you to treat it like that. And if you're not a content designer, here are like some other pieces of advice. Like if you are not like a full-time person working on words in your product, I recommend like having like a place, like a single source of truth to document your content decisions. This is a great start. A lot of teams don't do that. If you just start doing this one thing, you're like light years ahead, I guarantee you. Do embed content in your design system, like make it a part of the design system where all your like components, patterns live. Put it there, make it easy to find. And the third thing, prepare your own instructions for both humans and LLMs. So I highly recommend playing with custom instructions, having like a separate custom GPT, a separate agent for content, because like LLMs are like generally good at stuff, but one size in the end really fits none. Like the general chat GPT doesn't really know your vocabulary, your glossary, it doesn't know your product. It's gonna make things even more messy in the end. So do play with custom instructions and see where it can get you. Because in fact, like we're talking about language all the time, and you can't really take the language out of the large language model, can you? So I like to think about it that way. And we're talking a lot about patterns. So just to close this talk, this really brief talk, I would like to talk a little bit about how you can implement patterns and still keep space for creativity and for the craft, which is what we do as designers, aren't we? So what I think needs to be stated openly, that AI really sucks at first drafts, and when you ask it to like create a first design, it's not really going to be great. But what it really excels at is being a design partner and a critic. And this is the way I like to use it the most. So instead of saying generate one example, I often ask it to generate 10, to generate 20. And then as a professional, as a designer, I can pick 3 and I can kind of remix it. Like I like to say that my work became more of like a DJ work recently. So I do like the brainstorming bit with AI, and then I can build based on that. And another thing I really love to do, and this is like the ace up my sleeve, I shared with my students, with my like course participants, but I will gladly share it with you as well, is the tree of thought technique of prompting, which goes like this. You tell the LLM, imagine 3 different experts are answering this question. All experts will write down one step of their thinking, they share it with the group. Then all experts will go on to the next step, etc. And there's like the really nice bit I really like. If any expert realizes they are wrong at any point, then they leave. So this is like a little guardrail that prevents you from having like this really completely wrong outputs. And then you follow up with the question. And then the LLM generates like 3 experts that they think are fit. It thinks they're like fit for your question. And then you have like your private board of critics thinking about your problem, which is fantastic. I highly encourage you to try. Take a screenshot, try it, and like connect with me on LinkedIn, wherever seems fit for you. I'm really happy to listen about your experience with this, but I do it a lot when I need to like gain a different perspective and different outlook on the problem I'm facing. I think this is one of the greatest prompts, nicest prompt, most useful prompt I've ever stumbled upon. So I'm leaving it as a little gift for you just at the end of this talk. And when it comes to the adoption bit, which you might be wondering about, like, this is cool, but how do I get people to use the thing that I'm doing? Again, think about it as building on your own product, and think about how you would increase the adoption of a product. And just like a list of questions people usually answer, pin the answers, make it easy to find, and still keep thinking about it's not enough to do one thing well just once. So do the thing well and help others repeat your success. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been useful for you. My name is Kalina Tyrkiel, and this is the name I use on all socials, LinkedIn, and all other places. So I think LinkedIn is probably best in this context if you feel like digging deeper into the subject. If you have any questions to ask and questions you may not have the time for today, feel free to find me and connect so we can continue discussing this topic. I hope this has been useful for you, and thank you so much for your attention, for coming and for listening.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was really interesting. And we do have like a little bit of time to answer like some questions, because there's one burning question from Nadia as well that already came in a bit back, and LinkedIn is a bit behind on the live stream, so that's why it's always good to keep it a bit going. But like the first question that I got for you was a question regarding the LMN. Ask LMN to rewrite it into more LLM friendly format. What is the point if LLM can rewrite it for itself? Isn't it able to understand human-oriented format anyway?
It might be able to, but we are gaining, I mean, like they are better and better at that. Absolutely. What we're doing with this formatting is that we're gaining more clarity, we're gaining more control. So we are kind of like limiting the opportunities for the LLM to hallucinate. I mean, this is what's happening. Like the entry barrier is like lower and lower, and LLMs are better and better at understanding the intent, which is great news. But like the more complex the system you're working on, there's still plenty of work to do when it comes to getting these instructions right. So what I would suggest is to like try just pasting your plain human-facing instructions, and then like having a few use cases for writing, let's say microcopy, like let's say in the microcopy space, and seeing how it performs with like this human input instructions versus the structured ones. Because like there are like system prods on the back, like on the back end of every LLM. I really recommend looking at the Claude system prompt, because they make it public, so you can have a general idea of how these things are structured. So the answer is yes, like it's gonna understand to some extent, but we gain so much more control if we make it like more structured like that.
All right, awesome, very clear. Another question is like, you mentioned that you do use LinkedIn for also like some LinkedIn, like LMMs and AI for like some brainstorming as well, and you use it a lot in your daily job. Are there like certain tools that you prefer to work with, and how much like AI tools do you use on a daily basis in your job?
So I think first, most important thing to start with, like what I see a lot when I do like AI UX writing courses as well. So I see like, first of all, people at work are limited to they have to use the tools that they are like approved by the company. So this is the first thing, like use the tools that are approved by your company, because like the security layer is real. So this is like number one. I would say like my setup is like pretty simple. So apart from like the, let's say, Figma AI, like all this like AI coding and designing tools, like for writing, just whatever you're using, could be like OpenAI tools, could be Gemini. So whether it's like ChatGPT, Perplexity, like any of these LLMs, I would say just try different models if you can. But I usually just used ChatGPT or any other model like I'm supposed to work on a project. But there's plenty like Figma writing tools are getting more and more advanced. So they are adding the custom prompting option as well. I would really explore that. But like I would say what's better about AI tools like ChatGPT is that you can add custom instructions. You have much more control over the output. So the answer is like just ChatGPT most of the time, depending on what your company is using.
Okay, cool. Perfect. That's it for today with time. If people still have more questions, I'll also forward them to you. Thank you so much once again. And I think it's time then to introduce the next speaker. Oh, sorry, that was maybe too quick. So I'll now introduce the next speaker, which is Alessandro Caliandro, who is the head of UX at UNGUESS, and he's going to talk about the unmoderated usability testing, finding clarity in the chaos of speed and scale. So add Alejandro to the stage.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
I'm going to just not be here anymore. Just take it away, and if people have questions, I'll let them know.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, hello everyone. So thank you for joining us to this event. I liked a lot the speech before this one. So thanks to Kalina, because very interesting, especially when she said that content designing is designing, and it's very important and must be done at every step of the funnel and not only at the end. So I'm with her at her side with all the UX designer and content designer on this. So today I will speak about moderated usability testing. So how to, like I called it like how to find clarity in the chaos of speed and scale. So the chaos is the chaos of product teams. So today every product team move very fast with multiple release, and it's very important to have evidence on which basing their activities. So moderated usability testing and usability testing in general, it's very, very important. And clarity is probably the main important word, because it's what the good research provides. So it's very important to understand how to find this clarity. So let's move on. So a little bit about myself, very, very fast. I'm working in UNGUESS from some years right now. Before I am also a designer, a researcher. I do a lot of events. I like very much participating in events, like as a speaker, but also participating in general at events. What we do at UNGUESS, two lines. We are a crowd threat testing platform. So we do research and testing with a lot of companies. We started in Italy, and now we are expanding in all Europe and all world. What we do, we do with three pillars. So we have our technology, our crowd. So it's crowd testing technology. So we have like Triber, that is our tribes of vetted humans, and we work with a lot of certified experts that have are the ones that provides this kind of research. And we do in 4 areas. Today we'll speak only about the first one, is my main pillar area, that is the experience one. But we also work in accessibility, in quality and security sectors. It's important to say that what I speak today, it's something that is not only theory, but it's about practice, because we do a lot of usability testing, and we do also a lot of moderated usability testing. So today I will speak to you about what I found in the last year. We have done more than 70 moderating tests for different clients, different sectors. So this is my ideas about this topic. And okay, we can go on about like speaking about usability testing in general, just a little bit of history and a little bit of context about usability testing. I don't think that in this context we need a lot of theory, but I use many times this kind of contents, because it's very important to understand the differences between usability and UX and other topics. So just a little bit about usability. Okay, we have a definition, and is defined like as the mix of effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction. And it's very important to think about usability when we do everything. When we measure everything in our product or service. And UX is broader, so it's not only the usability, but also the perception and also the responses for the user anticipated use. So beyond okay, can they do it? We care about also the trust, the emotion, and the expectation. So we can say that usability is the foundation, but UX is the whole building. So starting about how we start to test on like the usability, we can refer at the 80s probably. The field took shape around that years. So started with like usability principles. Then also we have Nielsen and Norman in the 90s start speaking about like usability testing, user-centered design. So everything we talk every day today it's based on that years, and also start the topics about how to measure and also how to test the usability in the 2000, because starting like the internet-based platform that could help people to also to test this thing. And the essence of usability testing in the first year were based in these three pillars. Okay, it's important for testing the usability is having real users. And so it's important to test with real people. It's important to have real tasks, so having tasks on which analyze what and observe what they do with your product or service. And also it's important to observe. The observation, it's very important also to analyze what we are observing. So usability testing in the first years was everything about these three main pillars. And the main quote that we use in this sector, it's like we don't trust what users say. It's very important to look at how users behave and what users do. So usability testing in the first years, it was like this. So we had like traditionally in-person labs. We love a lot this kind of environment. So every usability test was performed in presence with dedicated labs. So we were recording equipment, and sometimes also one way we mirror, and it was very interesting to look at. And the role of the moderator was the very central in everything, because the moderator have to welcome, to explain everything, to probe, to also to rescue users during the task, and stakeholders observed the session in real time directly behind the mirror usually. And so this was the standard, and we continue also to do this kind of usability testing nowadays. But we for technological reason, but also for methodological reason, we are going on with new methodologies and new way of testing the usability. So around the 2000s start also the topic of unmoderated testing, so a new way of test the usability of products. And so this is about the little history of the moderated. So in the 2000, I say we start also having some platforms that could help us to do this kind of tests. And in the 10s, it was starting to have a wider adoption in digital first companies and of methodology of usability testing, and also starting to test not only websites but also complex websites or mobile application. And for the last years, the pandemic was a big accelerator of remote works and also global collaboration. And also all the platforms of testing have been very massive enhancement in the direction of speed and scale of the projects and of the research topics. So everything become faster and everything become easier also for users, so researcher could easily set their studies. So we assisted in a shift in normal usability testing. So we will not only the moderated usability test, but also a new way of presenting this kind of methodologies is about the unmoderated. That is no more in a lab, but is remote. It's asynchronous. It's the one of the most important things. We will discuss it right now. And there is no moderator in real time, but everything is done after. So sometimes a moderator also called a post-moderated usability test. So I confess, I have to confess that I was skeptical in the first time, because I thought that the ability, the experience of the moderator, the role of the moderator was very simple and very important for extracting the real insights, to understand how people behave, and also understand with the right question in the right time, understanding what people are thinking, or the motivation behind their behaviors. And so I approached in the first years, to a moderated test a little shy. So I was not so confident about this. But then I understand that are very big reasons to approach, to assist and to approach with a moderated way. So we have, particularly, there are some advantages, very big advantages using the moderated approach, and also there are some opportunities of this kind of approach. So the four principal advantage of a moderated approach are the speed, the scale, the real context, and the possibility of using metrics. So the speed is the first one. So the results are ready in hours instead of weeks. So for creating a protocol of moderated, you have to do in person or remote directly all the interviews. You can have bigger teams, but the work is so long. So it's very important also, you don't have to coordinate or schedule the calendar. So all the research shops part that in moderated approach is very, very consistent, becomes very, very easy. And also it's possible to align with agile cadences, so or rapid prototyping. So it's very, very fast, and so it can be put everywhere, also in a product team. So the speed is the first very big advantage of a moderated approach. Also the scale, it's very important, because you can do at the same time with dozens or many participants. So we know that Nielsen told us, teach us that like 5 or 6 for a qualitative test, it's enough. But sometimes it's important to have more tests done, and so using a moderated approach can help you to have a broader number of participants. And also with this broader number of participants, you can also create like user groups, have different devices, different environments. So you can test also different approaches to the same product, and you can compare them. And it's very important to arrive to something. The real context, it's another very important thing. So user interact in their own natural environment. So you have not the problems that having them like in a lab, so are not behaving like naturally. And also they use their real device, and this is very important to reveal usability issues, and also to have like contextual inquiry that could help out you to understand if the real problems and the real also strengths of your product, of your digital product. And the last one is that having the more solid number of people could help you also to start measuring things. So we know that with like 5 or 6 users, it's not enough to have like a quantitative numbers. But when you start having 20, usually 20 is the first one, you can start talking about summative test. You can have more important metrics, and you can start to track those metrics. Also to compare between different versions, or to compare with like competitors, or to compare with whatever you want. And it's the metrics is a thing that only with the moderated way you can use, because many metrics you cannot also track during the unmoderated way, like the completion time. It's a thing that you cannot ask people to do directly things and then track that time, or other topics that are not usable in the moderated way that are possible in the unmoderated. So this was the speed, the scale, the real context, and the metrics was the main for advantage of using an unmoderated approach. So two single takeaways. Then we go a little bit about how it works, so how we can do efficiently an unmoderated test. But it's very important to start extracting some takeaways also for this topic. And the first one, it's unmoderated testing. It's not a shortcut, so we don't choose unmoderated when we have no time to do like a moderated approach, and also that moderated and moderated are not competitors. Usually, the best way is trying to combine them in different moments of the evolution of the product to enrich the deepness with the moderated, and also the possibility of having metrics with the unmoderated approach. So just a little bit about how it works. So the applicability, it's very important to understand how we can choose. It's better to choose a moderated approach. Definitely when live products or high fidelity prototypes, it's a better way to test them in a moderated way for the reason I said before. It don't work so good with low fidelity prototypes, because sometimes you need to guide a little bit the user into the process, and so it's better to use it with like live products. It's the best choice for repeatable flows, because it's very easy to identify like patterns or friction points when the flows are very repeatable. And as I said before, it's very important when it's the best choose when you have to benchmark something. So if you have to compare using a moderated approach, it's the right choice. And it can also used in a complex industries. So also in finance or healthcare, having metrics, the scale can reveal trust and comprehension issues very faster than with a moderated approach. The process of a moderated test, it's quite the same of a moderated with some little changes. So the objectives are the first part also for the moderated way, and it's very important to having specific question and not only vague goals. It's very important to recruit participants in a specific way, and so being sure that the participants are in the target, because we cannot go back. So when we start an unmoderated activity, we cannot stop 5 minutes after, like we say in the moderated way, because we something goes wrong, everything it's done. Then it's important to design tasks in instruction in a very clear, realistic, and ambiguous way. Then is the part of the on-field activity, very faster. So you have to like collect all the session, all the videos. It's important also to have videos not only of the screen, but also it's possible also videos of the face of the user, so we can also track and observe like the expressions on the face during the navigation. And then there are the part of analyzing and synthesizing and creating the report of everything we need for our research. The tools, there are so many tools, so I don't want to suggest a tool in general. There is a very interesting page from this normal group that compare 11, if I remember well, testing tools, and they have also a small survey to choose what is our need, and trying to define what is the best tool for this need. And the lesson learned, 4 lessons that I learned in the last years on the field. The first one is the clarity beats creativity. So it's very important. Okay, it's important to be creative, but the tasks must be simple and direct. Because we cannot correct after. So everything, it's important to be more clear. The importance of the pilot. This is important also in a survey. It's important to have like a pilot to see if everything is going well. But in a moderated, it's more and more important, because 10 minutes drive around with someone of other teams or some other company can save them many days and many money. So understanding if the tasks are easy to understand, if the tasks are also in the right way session. So the pilot, it's very important. It's very important also not using only the stats or the metrics that you track during the observation or with the survey that you usually combine with the moderated, but also having recordings. Recordings are very important. The observational recordings is the most important thing. And the last one, that moderated testing alone, it's not enough. So you must mix, having like a moderated session, having like surveys before and after the moderated session, like to trying to understand what are the needs, what are the opinions before the confrontation with the product, and also after, and it's also possibility to compare the before and the after. Last 2 or 3 slides about the challenges. So the thing that can go wrong during like a moderated. So there are some quotes, some conversational quotes that sometimes we face. So the lack of motivation could be a problem. So people that say I don't really read the task, so I don't know what to do. And for this, the solution is like to have a very careful the screen. So choose the right people to participate in your moderated session, and also use fair incentives. So it's very important to pay well the users, because we ask them like to be professional, not professional users, but real users, but professional in the way they present and in a way they register themselves. The other challenge and the other problem sometimes is about the clarity of the tasks. So we don't have a moderator directly to clarify the tests and the tasks. So it's very important to be more clear, more easy to understand. And another challenge is about the difference between the different registration and different users. So the data quality is very important, and for this it's very important to screen also in this, to screen the right users, but also to combine metrics and video, and also to check a little bit about the standards of response. So having sure that everything was good in the first time. And so 3 final takeaways before the Q&A, if you have some question. It's I already said it, but for me it's very important. Moderated is not a shortcut, but it's another opportunity, another alternative to usability testing done by moderator. It's a valid method to generate evidence. Moderated and moderated are not competitors, so it's not a fight between different methodologies, but the best thing is trying to combine them. And the real threat of a moderated is bringing speed and scale without losing the clarity that I said before. It's the objective of every product team. So if you have questions, thoughts, or curiosities, I'm here right now, and also you can find myself in LinkedIn, probably. Yeah, I think that this QR go to my LinkedIn page. So just write myself, and I will answer very, very fast. Thank you.
Awesome. That is my cue to join in again. I'll just leave the QR code a little bit longer so people can connect with you. There are like some questions, like also from early on in the talk. Like first of all, like really clear talk. Really, thank you for sharing it. One thing that came across, because like one of the first things you said as well is like, can we trust the data? Like without knowing like external circumstances, as in like what the people are doing, like maybe someone is driving in their car or something like that. How can you still make sure that like the data is like to be trusted? What are like some experiences there as well?
Yeah, it's important if we need data about effectiveness or efficiency. It's important to have them in a real environment. So if we have like a transport app, it's okay that they are in mobility, because they will use the general also in the daily life they use e-mobility. Otherwise, if it's something like the mortgage request, probably they will do in the tranquility of their room. So we ask people usually to do like in the normal environment, and so in this environment we can easily track, like think about efficiency or effectiveness. And also satisfaction, it's very important to track. So we use a lot of different KPI or different metrics to track satisfaction, and it's quite easy with a survey post the moderated activity.
Okay. And in the process as well of recruiting, how do you guarantee that you have the right audience with the right intentions? Because like one compensation can be money, but there are also like other compensations that are usual.
Money, it's the standard compensation. Sometimes you cannot pay for legal reason, or because maybe you have a user group that don't need money, like high spending people, they don't want money. Sometimes in that case, usually we speak with clients and trying to give them something else, like discounts or participation in exclusive events or something like this. And this is a right way to incentive people. And I think that the most important thing is try to screen out the people before, and also trying to be sure that people is not like a professional tester. So we run a community of professional testers for the quality assurance activities. Also, that must be professional. But for all about experience, we try to people don't do too many tests, like only one test a year, because we want people that are real users and non-professional testers that speak like technical way, but they must be more precise to real users.
Okay. And in terms of like the task clarity, would you also like recommend like testing it on like colleagues, or like how do you make sure you get the task clarity properly there?
Yeah, usually we pilot them. We try like the tasks with someone else. Usually we have some part of the company that are very interested to do this, like the legal parts or the administration, that are not so deep with the technical parts, but they are very interested to help the companies also in this part. So asking our legal sector or HR to understand if the tasks are good. It's a fast way to to test.
All right, perfect. Those were the questions I have for now. If there's more coming in, because another live stream is still a bit behind, I'll let you know. And thank you so much for all the information you shared. And then we'll also be in touch.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. All right, now to close off this really nice online community event, I also want to make like a little announcement. In terms of like, if you like the type of things that we're doing in terms of content, like we have another online community event for free next week. But of course, we also have our main conferences. So we have the UXDX USA, and we have one in EMEA. Those are the main conferences happening in May next year, with each conference having more than 40+ plus speakers, having 8 workshops for upskilling, and also more than 500 attendees for a bit more like social networking, just networking. And I could definitely recommend also going there and leading up to those events. You can check out if there's a community event near you, because there's also local events that we organize for free. And we're also always happy if you're open for like being an ambassador or you don't see your local community there, reach out to us and we're also happy to get you involved. So that's basically it for this week. And then I hopefully see you next week with a proper voice. All right, bye-bye.